Hey guys, we're back on this project. I didn't get a lot done yesterday. I had service calls I had to go do, but I made myself a special these Freightliners with the hydraulic clutch in them. There's a line, there's no cross shafts in these because the clutch fork pivots down here on the bottom, and there's a special line that goes in. You take the grease zerk out of the top of the throwout bearing, then there's a line with a JIC, a number 4 JIC fitting in the throwout bearing, and then there's a line that goes to it. Well, it was broke, and I don't know if I did that when I pulled the clutch out. I'm not certain what happened, but anyway, I just decided, instead of ordering a special line from Freightliner and waiting on that, I decided to just make one. So I basically just took a 1/4 inch line and measured it out closely, and I put a union here with a washer there, and it's nice and tight and everything. And yeah, anyways, a number what is that, number 4 GIC, and I put a number 4 female pipe here, 1/8 inch, or no, number 4, it's number 4 hose to number 2, which would be 1/8 inch. And then I put a close nipple into that end, and then this pipe union with the washer here, and tightened it real nice and tight, and worked out really good. So it's the first time I've ever seen in all the years that I've been doing this, and I've done a lot of clutches in my day. I got to double check my work on the clutch stack up here, but none of these discs on this brand new clutch were labeled as, you know, as an orientation wise either. Most of the time they'll say flywheel side on this disc on the outside one, and they'll say intermediate plate side on the other disc. Well, neither one of them were marked. So I had another clutch in there, and I kind of went off that. So hopefully we're right, because that sucks if you got to pull it back out of there. So here's where I'm at. I got the wiring harness changed in it. I'm pretty much done, with the exception of the fan clutch wire on this one's longer that come out of this truck, because this harness is in the same position. Hang on, my light, I went to the wrong setting. But here's your fan clutch, and it's shorter. It's probably a good maybe 4 or 5 inches shorter than the one that was in it. I'm gonna look at that other truck. I wonder if this was mounted down lower. Is there a way that we could maybe move that down to here and then just plug that in? Would that be, I don't know. We'll look at that other truck, because I got to go back out there anyway, and I was in the process of doing that yesterday before I got called out on a service call. I was pulling the air line that fed the pressure regulator on the transmission. But anyways, the wiring harness that you're removing comes off the back side of the MCM. It's the OEM harness, basically, is what it is. And because you're going to have your factory harness for the engine, ECM harness, or MC, you know, Detroit calls it an MCM. But basically what it consists of, all the functions that you're doing, it goes down to the back plug, the small plug. I'll show you right here. This plug right here. Is that the one? Or yes, that's the one right there. That one's going to the MCM. Okay, and then you comes around here to your coolant level sensor in your overflow tank, and then it goes, there's a plug right here that goes into all these sensors here. Oh, we got one unplugged there. That's not good. Thought I need to get that plugged in, huh? Why is that unplugged? Just seen that. That would definitely not be good. That's like a timing reference. No, that's a coolant. That's a temp sensor. Okay, now it's plugged in. Anyway, so coolant level sensor, then it goes down and goes around to the other side. It's going to have your alternator plug in on it for your regulator on your alternator right here. And then it also, what else? AC compressor plug right here. Then it comes down and goes around behind the, oh, what do you call this thing? The vapor centrifuge, centrifugal, what the hell they call it? It separates the oil from the vapor for the blow by. And then it comes around that and goes down, and you're going to have a ground that goes on the ground stud of the alternator, and you're going to have the overcrank protection wire that plugs into the starter, and then of course the starter signal wire up here on top. So all that's done, and then I got underneath here and I had to run it down, and this one here had, what did I do with that plate? I'll show you. It had kind of a completely different style of plate on it that mounted those lines up there on top, and they actually had some studs incorporated into that lines I'll show you there, and then they had nuts on the other side of it that held the plate up there, and then the wires were zip tied to the back side of it. And this setup wasn't going to work for what I was doing. I wanted to actually use the plate that come off the other truck because it goes over the studs right here, which I'm wondering what my son did with those fine threaded 5/8 nuts. That would be really nice to know. Right here, so I drilled 2 holes here, 1/2-inch holes, and then I mounted that right up there like that, and then of course these here will mount there. This is going to be your reverse lights, backup sender. This one here is your output shaft speed sensor. This is going to be the transmission temp sensor. Okay, so I called Kenworth to ask them if they had one of those, which brings me to my next point of what we're doing on this. So the old setup, and I got to looking at this, and I thought at first that I was going to have to change radiators because the cooler lines on these come out of the transmission, they go underneath, they go down the left-hand driver's side frame rail, kind of, and they actually bolt and bracket to the bottom of the pan bolts, if I remember correctly. No, there's some studs on the side of the engine or something. I remember something like that anyway. And they go down through there and go to the bottom part of the radiator. Well, this radiator, got to looking at it, the fittings, the threads are there inside the radiator, but the fittings aren't there. And then my friend had a good point when I was talking to him what I was doing. He said, why don't you just put one of them air-cooled ones on there? That'd be a lot easier. And, you know, I think that's actually what we're gonna do. I think back here somewhere, I'll just make a bracket or somewhere and something and hang it. I mean, those things work just fine, and I think that'll be a lot simpler. We'll just take a couple number 8 hoses and run back to a cooler. You know, we'll try to mount it as close back here as we possibly can, and I think we got to mount it to where it's crossways. That way, the air's blowing through it, I would think, to where it cools correctly. But so anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call Fleet Pride right now and see if they've got one. Kenworth doesn't have one. So what I got to do, get the drive line out. I got to get that air line. Let's go back there and show you what I'm talking about there on that part. Back here on this tank here, this one's got 3 lines coming out of this, it's kind of like a tree. I call like a, right here, see, this one's got 3 lines coming out of this special fitting coming out of the back side. It looks like it's got a check valve maybe incorporated into it, but the other one's got 4, and one of those is the feed line for the pressure regulator on the transmission. So that was my next adventure, was to go out there and get that line out of that other truck. So I got it most of the way out of there, but it was hanging up in the fitting there, didn't want to come loose. So that's going to be a 3/8 line, I believe. Yeah, 3/8 line. So anyway, I'm going to go out there. Yeah, we got to put this back down on the pinion. So lots and lots of work to do. We got to get this thing done. I got to move on. I got another Freightliner out there that I got to get in here and get the cylinder head off of it too. So, and I got a log truck. You guys remember the Peterbilt about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago that I welded the axle up? Well, it didn't really break where I welded it, but it broke up on the top now, and it broke it almost clear in half up on the top. It's finished. So, you know, it actually lasted longer than I really suspected it to. I told Kevin, the owner of the truck, I said, I've had some of those last, you know, the lifetime of the truck that I've welded up. And I said, I've had some of them not last 2 loads, and then they were cracked again. So I said, so I guess we found a whole different suspension and axle housings and everything for him. So that's another project that I got to get done too. I've got so many projects, I don't know where I'm coming or going. But I guess right now, living in your third world country, it's a good problem to have. So of all the places I've checked, nobody around has an old-fashioned, good old, just air-cooled transmission cooler. So that being said, I guess we're gonna have to resort to installing these lines back in here and doing it the hard way, I guess. So I'll just take the fittings out of this lower radiator here, the lower tank, and I'll install them in that one, and then I'll just have to run these hoses. These ends here go to the transmission, and of course these ends here go down, or no, those ends go to the radiator. These ends go to the transmission. So there's a little bit more workload for us right there. It is what it is. We just got to push on. I'm not going to wait another day or two to order another cooler. You know, I'll just have to just get it done. So I guess what we'll do now is I'll go ahead and go out there and get that line out of that. I got my little tool here. You know, actually, I actually need to grab a bigger one too, because that one I'm gonna have to pull. Hang on. Okay, I got this one out. This line, the one that I need, actually would not. I mean, I had a heck of a time. I had a hell of a time getting those three out. And I hope it doesn't leak everywhere, because I mean, I fought them. I had to just basically unthread it and leave this one on there. I cut the other lines where I could actually, off that truck, where I could actually put that in the vise and pull and push, and finally got those lines out of there. So what I'm gonna do, if I have enough line, which I think I do, I'm just gonna cut these. So I got 1/2 inch line and 3 was 1/4 inch. Yeah, no, those are 3/8 lines, aren't they? So I got 1/2 inch line and 3 3/8 lines. So I think what we're gonna do is just cut them like right here as close as we possibly can. Now, I'm not fighting this thing. I'm just not gonna fight it. It'd be nice to be able to use this again for something, but I'm just not gonna be able to. I mean, I fought that thing, guys, for a good half an hour getting them lines out of there, and I just don't want to go through that. I can cut this tie, and I can come down a little further, so I should be okay. Now this one's gonna give me problems. I need to cut this zip tie, is in my way. Let me cut this. Let me go get a pair of dikes and cut this ties. Okay, let me cut some of these zip ties off here. Need a little bit of more room to maneuver. Yeah. Okay, that's gonna work out all right. So now, I like using this thing here if I can, because it sure makes a nice, good, clean cut. But sometimes you can't really get it in there where you want it. There we go. Down as far as I can. Oops. Damn it. What are we doing here? You know what I need to do is turn it around. Put the... There we go. That's a little better way of doing that. Okay, now this one will be easy. Okay, now we can unthread this one and put the other one in there. this one down here and kind of get it ready. I'm just going to leave the yellow line in there. Okay, so yeah, it's got the check valve incorporated into the assembly here. Special stuff, you know, everything's got to be some kind of special assembly. That's what's going to be the major drawback when this society finally does, which won't be long from now. It goes completely bankrupt. And once the parts thing runs completely out of all this special stuff, we're going to have to be like Pakistani truck repair and have to figure out how to make our own stuff. And, you know, this kind of stuff here will go away. You know, you won't be able to get it. I don't really see any pipe though. It's just a brass fitting going into the steel tank, but I wonder, I think we probably should put some pipe dope is my thinking on that. Really? And I bought a can of it, and of course it's like every other thing else, you know, they never make the PTFE. They never make the stick with the brush on it long enough to go to the bottom of the can, so. Okay, let's put this one in there. I can hold my mouth straight there and get it started. All right, we're gaining on her now. Oh, that's not good, huh? I gotta call Peterson Cat and ask him where my parts are. That little excavator I did the leaks on, I ordered a bunch of bushings and pins and stuff for the bucket and the boom that were all worn out, and it's been like a good week since I ordered them. Find out where in the hell my stuff is. I guess I'll call them and ask them, because... Alright. Okay, so let's put... Where's the 1/2 inch line? Let's put the blue line that was originally on the further one over here. Okay, so that one went in. And then the black line. Okay. And then the yeller 1/2 inch line. Okay, I'm having trouble with this one. I think. Okay. I felt it kind of go in. Alright. That turned out all right. Well, yeah, in case it leaks, hopefully. I mean, I kind of had my little tool on there and was whacking this part with a hammer, trying to get these quick releases to pop loose where I could get the damn thing out of there. It just did not want to come out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just take this line and be really careful not to kink the line. These plastic lines, once they get kinked, they're pretty well damaged and they're done for. Okay, so what I want to do, that's what I did on the other one anyway. I just, zip ties a little tighter than, I wonder if I can run it through this one maybe. I just pulled it out of the zip ties on the other one. That's not really working on this one, you know what? I think it's going to force me to run it down and zip tie them all to around. That's what it's going to do, because of course these are zip tied tight for the current configuration and not for this. So I'm just going to have to go along here with zip ties and tie it all up. back to where it's supposed to be. But we will have a air line for our pressure regulator on our transmission, so that's good. Yeah, I'll just some zip ties and start zip tying all these up, and then I'll get these drive lines sorted out. And then I got to get a hold of my significant other and have her run up there and grab that transmission cooler. Yeah, we're gaining on her though. We are gaining on her. Ow, that really did not feel very good. That wire jamming me in the back of the neck. So, actually, darn, I got my light on upside down. Wrong. There you go. So that other truck, this is mounted clear down, well, it's got a different bracket on it, but we're gonna mount it down here if I got enough room there. Sure as hell gonna try. I'm gonna go through great lengths to not cannibalize the wiring harness. That's kind of always my last option, really, is I don't like destroying a wiring harness. Why is that nut loose? It's just loose on there. Kind of weird, huh? Might look a little unorthodox with that bracket. There's nothing on it, but at least we won't have to cut wires and butt connect for another problem down the road. Okay, the line up here is screwing with me. Can I get a wonderful quick connect out of it? Would be the ideal situation, but those things sure like to fight me, I'll tell you that. Man, those things sure like to fight me. Now I'm probably gonna have to go get the tool to... It's always, these things are always such a pain in the ass to deal with. They really are. I gotta get something to hold it in. It's not gonna come out willingly. Maybe this one will. This one came out, so maybe I can get this one threaded through and move it around. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work out, I think. Yeah, that's gonna work out. Okay. Oh, come on. Kind of like to get it kind of squared up if I can. Right. Now, will this reach? Yeah, now it reaches. That's a good deal, huh? I'm gonna plumb this back into it. Okay. for the old tug test. Okay, that dilemma has been solved. Right on. Yeah, that turned out pretty good. Yep. I'll just kind of put this nut on there because it was on there, I guess. So. Everything there is kind of plugged in. Now I just basically get this hydraulic slave cylinder plumbed up in here, and then we'll have to bleed it once we get it in there. Clips in it. Yeah, okay, we're cooking right along now. As my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, boy, we're cooking with natural gas now. I gotta hook the air line. What did they do? Steal the fitting out of it? It appears that they did. Yeah, they must have stole the fitting out. I did not. This was something they did. So there's obviously... Oh, I see. The whole thing needs to come off that they got on there, and it'll probably thread right on there. Okay, no worries. Well, the transmission is in it. I'm actually... And some guy on one of my videos, I had said something about doing a clutch like this. And just... He went through an elaborate comment and about 2 paragraphs long telling me that I was full of shit. That there was no way that you could do this. What you do is you stack your whole clutch up on the input shaft, and you use the transmission jack as a clutch jack as well, and then you stick the damn thing in there, and then you just rotate it around and put your pressure plate bolts in. The key to this though is don't tighten up the first one. The bad thing about this, doing it this way, the reason I like doing it this way is because I hate sitting there wiggling it and trying to turn the output shaft, trying to get it splined up through the clutch disc. I hate doing it that way. Once I started learning how to do it this way, the only thing that you got to line up is the pilot. That's it. So the key to doing this, when you put them in, is just start all of them first. You'll have to make 2 complete revolutions. This is the last bolt, I think. Yep, they're all in, except for this one, so I can tighten this one up. These Freightliners with their goofy bell housing here are a little bit different. I might be able to get on that one up there too, maybe. I think I'll go back the other way and get that one. No, it's just... My buddy works in a truck shop up there in town, and I showed him how to do it this way, and he says I could kiss you for showing me how to do that. He said they'll never do one the other way again, ever. So yeah, now we just basically turn it around to the next holes, and then tighten them up. Well, I lost my rhythm there. And Yeah, you kind of have to have a little bit. I got one of them extensions that's got the kind of the wobble end on it because of the angle. So anyways, so that's basically, I'm just kind of telling you that it can be done. The guy, oh, you can't do that. There's no way you could ever do that. Yeah, there is. You are wrong. Okay, so there's that'll come back. Everything should clear. Yeah, pretty good. It's kind of hard to tell the gap on these, but we'll have to check it out once we get it together. Might have to adjust the clutch a little bit. So I'm totally screwed up on my driveline deal here, and what I was thinking. When you put this up, then the carrier bearing is way off down there. I did some measuring. The drive line that I pulled out of it would work, but the yokes are different. So the easiest way to do this, instead of having to make this drive line work, I mean, to make this drive line work, you'd have to lengthen it. That's the only thing you could do. So the simplest thing to me is to use the drive line that came out of it and change the yoke here to match that, and take that yoke back off there, put on that, and then everything, I measured it from here to the carrier and it's dead on. So yeah, the wheelbases are different on the trucks. So that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to use this one, but I need to zip the yoke off this transmission here. And god dang it, tomorrow's Friday, so then I'm screwed. Nobody's gonna have one, and I'm gonna be waiting. Golly, I can't stand that shit. I'll show you what I'm running into. That one's obviously the carrier. See, the carrier bracket and mount is way back here. So these are different yokes on this one. If you come out here to this other truck, this old cab over, I got to get this thing in here too. This old B model cat, I got to get the head off of it and see what happened on it. But this old, look at this one, I'll show you the bracket. And I was thinking about changing the brackets and stuff around here, but I don't know, the easiest thing to do is to get another yoke. That's just going to be the easiest way to do it, is switch the yoke on the back of that transmission. Yep. This one here is way forward. The back drive line on this one was way longer, and I thought, well, maybe I could take the back drive line and put in that truck. But if you measure from the center of that axle to the back of the sleeper, it's like 10 inches different between there and there. So that tells you all this is going to be different here. So you almost got to use the drive lines that came out of that truck. We just need to switch the yokes. I'm going to go ahead and throw that one drive line up on the carrier and make damn sure that it's going to come up to the yoke. That way I'm not doing this for nothing. But see how they got that other carrier is way back here on this cross member underneath the sleeper. And this one has got its own bolts and everything way up forward. Same year truck, just different wheelbases and spec'd out different. So that's this kind of shit you run into when you're doing this swap around stuff. Not much a guy can do with it, but just improvise and keep going. So yeah, we'll throw that other yoke back on there that we already took off once, and then I just wasn't thinking about that. I just thought the truck wheelbases were the same, but they're not. I measured this truck here. I measured from the center of this axle to the back of the sleeper, and it was 76 inches. And I measured the same thing on that one, and it was 67 inches. And then, what'd I say? I think I had 215 inches of wheelbase. Well, from here to the steer axle, and like 205 on that one. So it's really funky and weird. It's different. I went ahead and drug that other drive line in here, but I'm not going to use it really. But okay, well, I'm going to throw this one in there and make sure that it's going to work, and all I have to do is switch yokes. So I was wrong again. I mounted it back on the carrier, the original drive line, and this transmission obviously is about 4.5 inches shorter. Well guys, I'm going to come back tomorrow morning early, and it's getting late. Pull that one drive line behind the transmission out of there. I got it measured. It's about 3.5 inches too short, and then I'm going to pull that yoke off early tomorrow morning. And I'll just have my wife come get it, and I'll throw it in the back of the pickup, and she can take it to the driveline shop when they open. And gonna have to lengthen it out and change that one yoke. So I changed that harness, right? And the MCM's not throwing any codes, but it won't start now. And it's communicating all that good stuff. And it's really strange. It acts like the engine's out of time. So I got the other MCM out of that other truck. I'm going to stick in there in the morning. I bet it'll start up. There's something different, because there's fuses in spots into that fuse panel that there wasn't on, you know, it's a little different. Something's not right. And the problem is, as you can see, that truck out there was deleted. It was a junk truck he bought. And so you know that this one has all the emission shit on it. So it's either you're gonna have to knock all the guts out of that one if you use that MCM, or you're gonna have to have that MCM flash with the file for the emissions. I mean, one of the two. So it's kind of a cluster. Where is that MCM? It's right here. And I got the CPC controller too. Well, in the morning when I get back, I'm gonna plug it in and see if it'll start. 'Cause I had it started with the other MCM in there, and it's weird. You just listen to it. I'll have you guys listen to it. It's really strange. No, never mind. I already got the batteries unhooked and everything. So, anyway, well, we'll cross that bridge tomorrow. I'm getting there, man. It's a little bigger project than I anticipated, really. I didn't think this was going to be that big a deal, but it's turning out to be a pretty in-depth project. But we've come a long ways on her, so anyway, upwards and onwards.